Some days, your mind feels like a battlefield, not with visible enemies, but with quiet fears whispering, "What if?" And you're not enough. You lie down to rest, but thoughts keep running. You replay old moments, plan for every future one, and call it being prepared. Yet the more you think, the heavier you feel. Worry pretends to protect you, but it doesn't. It drains your energy, narrows your world, and makes peace feel far away. We've learned to mistake tension for effort and worry for care. But Buddhism teaches the opposite. You don't end worry by forcing silence. You end it by understanding it. Because worry isn't your enemy. It's a confused kind of love that's forgotten how to trust. Peace isn't found in controlling life, but in seeing it clearly, as it is. Unpredictable, imperfect, alive. In this journey, we'll explore timeless Buddhist truths that free the mind from anxiety and return you to calm awareness. If your thoughts have been loud and your heart tired, stay until the end. Beyond the noise, there's a stillness that's been waiting for you. And that's where we begin. Lesson 1. The double theft of worry. Have you ever noticed how your mind can suffer over something that hasn't even happened yet? You wake up already uneasy, replaying future scenes that exist only in imagination. The argument you might have, the loss that might come, the failure that might unfold. Hours pass, and nothing in the real world has changed, yet your heart feels exhausted. This is the first theft of worry, the one that happens entirely inside your mind. Worry convinces you that by rehearsing pain, you're preparing for it. But the truth is, every imagined disaster leaves a real mark. The body tenses, the breath shortens, and the nervous system starts believing the story your thoughts are telling. Then, when life finally brings its real challenges, you arrive already drained, robbed twice, first by illusion, then by reality. In Buddhist psychology, worry is seen as a quiet form of attachment, a grasping at what has not yet taken shape. You cling to imagined futures, trying to protect yourself from them, and in doing so, you lose the present moment entirely. The Buddha compared this to carrying a heavy stone everywhere you go, fearing what might happen if you set it down. The weight doesn't protect you, it only limits your freedom to move. But there's another path. The next time worry begins to rise, pause and ask a simple question. Is this real, or is this imagined? You might be surprised by how often the mind is reacting to a story, not to life itself. That single question opens a space. And in that space, awareness enters. Awareness doesn't fight worry. It simply exposes its illusion. When you see clearly that the fire exists only in thought, you stop burning. Each time you return to the present, you take back what worry has stolen. You reclaim your breath, your calm, your clarity. And slowly, you begin to understand that peace was never lost. It was just hidden beneath layers of imagination. The mind that once created fear can also create freedom. All it needs is your attention. Lesson 2. The myth of control. Most of us grow up believing that peace comes from having everything under control. The perfect plan, the right timing, the guaranteed result. We hold on to our schedules, our expectations, and even the moods of others, as if gripping them tightly could stop life from shifting. But control is a beautiful illusion, one that keeps the mind busy and the heart uneasy. Anxiety is born the moment we believe that life must obey our design. We cling to plans that collapse, to people who change, to outcomes that refuse to match our imagination. Each time something slips through our hands, we tighten our grip even more, as if pressure could force stability. Yet the tighter we hold, the more fragile everything feels. What we call trying to stay in control is often just another name for resistance. And resistance is the beginning of suffering. Buddhist wisdom teaches that acceptance is not surrender, it's harmony with what already is. The leaf does not argue with the river's direction, it moves with the current, trusting that the flow knows more than its own stillness. In the same way, peace arrives when you stop fighting the natural motion of your life. Acceptance doesn't mean liking everything that happens. It means recognizing that your calm does not depend on circumstances behaving perfectly. It means choosing clarity over control. When you stop wrestling with the way things unfold, something remarkable happens. Energy once spent on worry becomes available for awareness. You begin to see choices you couldn't see before. You start responding instead of reacting. You learn that peace isn't passive. It's an intelligent cooperation with reality. So the next time life refuses to fit your plan, take a breath and remind yourself, I don't need to fix everything. I just need to respond calmly. That single sentence is liberation in disguise. It returns you to the only place your strength has ever lived, this moment. Because life was never asking you to control it. It was asking you to meet it, fully, gently, and without fear. Lesson 3. The gratitude reset. Worry and gratitude cannot live in the same breath. One tightens the heart, the other opens it. When the mind is focused on what's missing, it naturally begins to spiral into fear. But the moment you remember what is already here, the entire landscape of your awareness changes. Gratitude is more than a pleasant emotion. It's a powerful realignment of perception. Modern psychology now echoes what ancient Buddhism has always taught, that the state of your mind shapes the quality of your life. When you give attention to fear, your body prepares for danger. When you give attention to appreciation, your body prepares for peace. With each grateful thought, your nervous system softens, your breathing slows, and the world feels less hostile. In Buddhist understanding, gratitude is a bridge. It carries the mind from scarcity to sufficiency, from tension to trust. You begin to notice that peace isn't a reward for when life improves. It's a byproduct of recognizing what's already working. Even small things, the morning light through your window, the warmth of tea, the sound of rain, remind you that life continues to care for you in ways you often overlook. The practice is simple but transformative. Once a day, pause and name 3 things you are quietly thankful for. Don't rush it. Let each one land. Maybe it's the breath that steadies you, the friend who listened, or the simple fact that you made it through another day. These acknowledgements may seem small, but they begin to rewire how you see the world. You stop scanning for danger and start noticing stability. You stop rehearsing loss and start recognizing support. Over time, this daily ritual becomes a reset button for the mind. The world doesn't change. Your vision does. Fear loses its grip because it cannot exist in a space filled with appreciation. Gratitude doesn't ignore what's hard. It simply refuses to let difficulty define the whole picture. It anchors your attention in what's abundant rather than what's absent, reminding you that peace is never found in having more. It's found in seeing more clearly. So today, before you move on with your plans, take a slow breath and whisper to yourself, there is still so much good in this moment. That single thought is the beginning of calm and the quiet end of worry. Lesson 4. Freedom from approval. There's a quiet exhaustion that lives inside almost everyone, the endless effort to be seen the right way. You smile when you're sad, you agree when you disagree, you reshape your edges so no one feels uncomfortable around you. And slowly, almost without noticing, you begin to disappear behind your own performance. What started as kindness turns into a habit of self-abandonment. You stop living for truth and start living for applause. This craving to please is not born from vanity. It's born from fear. The fear of being misunderstood, of being rejected, of not being enough. Beneath every attempt to please is a silent question. Will they still love me if I don't? The mind begins to measure worth by reactions. A compliment lifts you, a criticism shatters you. Your peace starts depending on what others think, and that's when you lose your power. Buddhist wisdom calls this dependence on praise and blame one of the deepest forms of attachment. When your peace rises and falls with someone else's opinion, you're no longer free. You're a prisoner of perception. The Buddha once said, If you live by the praise, you will die by the blame. That line is not a warning, it's a mirror. It reminds us that when the world decides who we are, we lose the ability to know ourselves. The truth is, people will always see you through the lens of their own experiences, their hopes, fears, expectations, and wounds. You can speak with honesty and still be misinterpreted. You can act with kindness and still be criticized. No amount of explanation can guarantee understanding because every listener is carrying their own story. When you finally see this clearly, something inside you relaxes. You stop chasing approval, not out of arrogance, but out of wisdom. Freedom begins the moment you choose authenticity over acceptance. The moment you ask yourself, does this bring me peace or just performance? That single question shifts everything. When your actions are rooted in truth, your peace becomes steady, no longer shaken by opinions that change with the wind. You start to realize that you were never meant to please everyone. You were meant to be honest with yourself. Living authentically doesn't mean becoming harsh or careless. It means speaking gently but truthfully, setting boundaries without guilt, saying no when your heart means no, and yes only when your soul agrees. It's a quiet courage. The courage to be real, even when it's misunderstood. Some people will fall away when you stop performing for them, but those who remain will recognize you more deeply than ever before. Their presence will feel lighter, their love freer, because it's built on truth, not illusion. In Buddhist practice, this is called equanimity, the ability to remain balanced in both praise and blame. Imagine standing in the center of a storm, feeling the wind from every direction, but staying rooted. You no longer bend every time someone else breathes. You no longer edit your essence just to be accepted. You begin to understand that real peace is not found in being liked by all. It's found in not betraying yourself for anyone. Here's a practice to anchor this truth. Whenever you feel the pull to please, pause for one breath and ask, am I doing this for peace or for approval? If the answer feels heavy, step back. If it feels calm, move forward. Over time, this simple awareness becomes a shield, not to block the world out, but to protect the stillness within you. Because the day you stop needing everyone's permission to be yourself, life becomes astonishingly quiet. You laugh easier. You breathe deeper. You start living from a place of ease instead of effort. Approval loses its power because your worth is no longer up for negotiation. It's already whole, already complete, already free. And in that freedom, you discover something beautiful. When you no longer beg the world to see you, you finally have space to truly see yourself. Lesson 5. Movement as meditation. We often think stillness means peace, yet sometimes stillness becomes the very place where worry grows. When the mind keeps circling its own thoughts, the body quietly absorbs that tension. Shoulders tighten, breath shortens. The chest feels heavy for reasons we can't name. The body begins to carry what the mind refuses to release. In Buddhist understanding, the mind and body are not separate. They mirror one another like twin reflections on water. One ripple in thought creates movement in the flesh. When we sit too long inside our worries, energy stagnates. Thoughts harden into knots. The solution isn't always to think our way out. It's to move our way through. That's why monks walk. They walk slowly, deliberately, not to reach a destination, but to meet each step. The movement itself becomes a prayer. Heel touching earth, breath meeting air, awareness returning home. Each step says, I'm here, I'm alive, I'm free to begin again. In this rhythm, the mind softens. The stories lose their sharpness. What felt tangled starts to loosen without a single word of explanation. You don't need a monastery to practice this. You can transform any ordinary motion into meditation. Stretch your arms as sunlight enters the room. Feel the spine rise and settle like a wave. Take a walk without headphones, listening only to your footsteps and the whisper of air moving past your skin. Let your breath guide the pace, slow enough to notice, steady enough to trust. Movement does not escape, it's release. When you move consciously, the body becomes a wise teacher. It tells you when you're forcing, when you're holding, when you're ready to let go. Each exhale carries away what the mind tried to control. Each inhalation brings you back into presence. Try this small practice. Once a day, stand, place a hand over your heart, and take 3 slow breaths. Then walk, even if it's only across your room. Feel your feet touch the ground, and imagine each step sending a quiet message to your mind. You can rest now. I've got you. This is how movement heals, not by changing the path, but by changing how you travel it. When the body begins to flow, the mind follows. The heart grows lighter. The noise fades. You realize that peace was never the absence of motion. It was motion done with awareness. So the next time your thoughts start to race, don't fight them from your chair. Stand, breathe, move. Let the rhythm of your own body remind you. Stillness isn't found by freezing the world. It's found by flowing gently through it. Lesson 6. The trap of perfection. There's a silent pressure that most people carry. The feeling that they must always be improving, always achieving, always flawless. It hides behind good intentions. The desire to do your best, to be reliable, to make things right. But when that desire turns into a constant demand for perfection, peace quietly slips away. What looks like discipline is often just disguised fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of failure, fear that love and calm must be earned. The perfectionist mind never rests. It measures every word, replays every mistake, and lives in the constant tension between who you are and who you think you should be. You finish one task only to notice the next flaw. You achieve one goal only to feel another rising in its place. You try to build a perfect life, yet each improvement brings more pressure to maintain it. In this endless climb, there's no room left for rest, joy, or simply being. Buddhism offers a different path, one that replaces performance with presence. The Buddha never promised a perfect existence. He pointed toward a clear and compassionate awareness of what is. In the Buddhist view, the aim is not to polish life until it shines, but to see life clearly even when it's covered in dust. When we obsess over perfection, we stop seeing reality. We see only the reflection of our expectations. There's a beautiful concept in Zen called Shoshin, the beginner's mind. It means approaching every experience with openness, curiosity, and humility, as if seeing it for the first time. A beginner doesn't try to prove worth. A beginner explores, learns, makes mistakes, and begins again without shame. To live with beginner's mind is to remember that every breath, every moment, every day is new, and that you don't have to be perfect to be awake. Mistakes, in this way, become sacred teachers. Each one reveals something about where your heart still clings, where your patience still wavers, where your compassion is still learning to grow. When you stop punishing yourself for being human, life starts to feel less like a test and more like a classroom. Gentle, forgiving, endlessly instructive. The goal is not to never stumble, but to learn how to walk with awareness when you do. Think of how nature moves. The tree doesn't apologize when a branch breaks. The ocean doesn't regret the tide. The lotus, the very symbol of enlightenment, blooms out of mud. Nothing in nature demands perfection, yet everything fulfills its purpose. You too were never meant to be flawless. You were meant to be real, to breathe, to feel, to learn, to grow. Here's a practice that can help soften the perfectionist inside you. Each day, take a moment of stillness. Place your hands on your heart and whisper, "I release the need to be perfect. I choose to be present." Let those words sink deep. Feel your breath steady as you say them. Notice how the body relaxes when you stop performing for the world and start showing up for yourself. When you live from presence instead of perfection, everything changes. Conversations become lighter because you're no longer rehearsing them in your head. Work becomes more creative because it's no longer burdened by fear of judgment. Relationships grow deeper because you're finally showing up as you are, not as who you think you need to be. The truth is that peace doesn't come at the end of your to-do list. It doesn't wait for everything to be fixed, finished, or flawless. Peace begins in the moment you decide to stop fighting your own humanity. It begins when you realize you were never broken, only distracted by impossible expectations. So the next time you hear that voice telling you to be better, try to listen with compassion. Behind that voice is a heart that just wants safety, love, and belonging. Give it those things, not through perfection, but through kindness. Because when you finally stop demanding that every step be perfect, you begin to notice something profound. You're already walking the path of peace. Lesson 7. One day, one breath. The mind has a strange habit. It rarely stays where life actually happens. One moment it drifts backward, replaying what's already gone. The next, it rushes ahead, trying to predict what hasn't even arrived. And in this constant time travel between yesterday and tomorrow, the present moment quietly disappears. Worry multiplies in that space between what was and what might be. You can feel it, that invisible weight pressing on your chest, even when nothing is actually wrong. You're thinking about what you said last week, or what you need to fix next month, and before you know it, your body is here, but your spirit is somewhere else entirely. The result is exhaustion, not from living too much, but from living everywhere except now. Buddhist wisdom teaches that peace is not found by fixing the past or securing the future. It's found in meeting this single breath with awareness. The Buddha compared the present moment to a clear pond. When the surface is still, you can see all the way to the bottom. But when you keep stirring the water with regrets and expectations, everything becomes cloudy. You can't see truth because you're trapped in turbulence of your own making. You cannot carry both yesterday and tomorrow at once. They weigh too much. One is already gone. The other hasn't arrived. But this moment, this single inhale, this single exhale is small enough to hold. That's the gift of mindfulness. It brings you home to what's real, to the only space where calm can grow. Think of life not as a mountain to conquer, but as a path you walk one careful step at a time. The step itself is everything. When you stop rushing toward the peak, you start to notice the sound of gravel underfoot, the smell of the air, the way light falls through the trees. Those details, the ones you overlook when you're chasing tomorrow, are the true teachers of presence. The practice is simple but powerful. When your thoughts start racing ahead, pause. Take one slow breath. Ask yourself, what is directly in front of me right now? Then give it your full attention. If you're washing dishes, just wash. If you're drinking tea, just drink. If you're breathing, just breathe. One moment mindfulness doesn't require silence or solitude. It requires sincerity, the willingness to actually be where you are. Over time, this practice becomes a quiet strength. You stop being pulled by every what if and should have. The mind learns that safety doesn't live in planning. It lives in presence. Even when life feels uncertain, you realize you don't need to solve the entire puzzle. You only need to meet the next piece with calm hands and clear eyes. Remember, the future you're worrying about will unfold one present moment at a time, just like this one. And the past you can't stop revisiting has already dissolved into the same silence that's surrounding you now. The only moment that ever truly belongs to you is this breath, this heartbeat, this awareness. So, when the mind tries to pull you in every direction, come back to the simplest truth. Just this moment, just this breath, just this step. Nothing more is needed, because life doesn't ask you to carry it all at once. It only asks you to be here while it's happening. And when you finally rest inside that truth, the noise of time fades, the heart steadies, and you discover that peace was never hiding in some distant tomorrow. It was quietly waiting in this single, ordinary moment you call now. Lesson 8. Release the need to be understood. There is a quiet, invisible weight many people carry. The need to explain themselves. You want to be seen clearly, to be understood, to have your heart recognized for what it truly means. You replay conversations in your mind, searching for the right words that could have made someone see your side. You wonder if they judged you too quickly or misunderstood your silence. Without noticing, you begin to live in defense of yourself instead of in peace with yourself. But the truth is simple, though hard to accept. No matter how carefully you speak, no one will ever see you exactly as you see yourself. Every person hears through their own filters, their memories, wounds, expectations, and fears. You might speak from love, and someone might still hear judgment. You might act with good intent, and someone might still take offense. You cannot control that. Understanding does not belong to you. It belongs to the listener. Even the Buddha, one of the most compassionate beings to walk this earth, was misunderstood, criticized, and doubted. If truth itself could be misread, how could any of us expect to be perfectly seen? Real freedom begins when you stop demanding perfect translation from the world around you. When you stop trying to edit your soul into a version that everyone approves of. Every time you try to explain who you are to someone who isn't ready to hear it, you hand away a small piece of your peace. The mind keeps spinning, rewriting the same story, searching for closure that may never come. But Buddhism teaches that this compulsion, this endless urge to prove, to justify, to correct, is just another form of attachment. It's the ego's last attempt to control perception. And like all forms of clinging, it leads to suffering. True clarity doesn't come from being understood by others. It comes from understanding yourself so deeply that outside opinions lose their grip. When you know your intentions are sincere, you no longer chase validation. When you live in alignment with your values, you no longer need to defend them. There's a peace that appears when you stop performing for understanding and simply embody your truth. The next time you feel that pull to explain, pause. Place your hand over your heart and take one slow breath. Then whisper silently, I release the need to be understood. I return to my truth. Say it again until it begins to settle inside you. Notice how your body relaxes when you no longer try to control someone else's perception. Notice how quiet the mind becomes when it realizes it has nothing left to prove. You are not here to be universally understood. You are here to live truthfully, kindly, and clearly. The right people, those who are meant to walk beside you, will sense your sincerity even in silence. And those who cannot see you yet are simply not meant to read your story at this chapter of their life. Let others have their opinions, their interpretations, their narratives. You don't have to fight them. You don't even have to fix them. Just keep walking your path with gentle conviction. In time, your peace will speak louder than your explanations ever could. Remember, the goal is not to be perfectly understood, but to be perfectly aligned, to live so honestly within yourself that misunderstanding no longer disturbs your heart. When your inner world is clear, it doesn't matter how others label you. Their words may echo, but they can't enter the stillness you've built within. So when the noise of misunderstanding surrounds you, return to your breath. Return to your truth. Let the world interpret you as it will and remain at peace. Because the highest understanding isn't found in being seen. It's found in finally seeing yourself. Closing reflection. The habit of peace. Worry is a habit, but so is peace. Every time you return to your breath, every time you choose calm instead of chaos, you're training your mind to rest where it once rushed. Just like muscles strengthen through repetition, serenity deepens through gentle practice. The difference between an anxious life and a peaceful one is not circumstance, it's training. Freedom was never about escaping your life or rewriting your story. It's about changing your relationship with what already is. The same job, the same people, the same challenges, yet Through awareness, they begin to feel lighter. The storms don't stop, but you no longer stand in the rain without shelter. You learn to carry stillness wherever you go. This path has always been simple, though not always easy. Each lesson along the way has pointed toward one truth. Peace is not something you chase, it's something you practice. It grows in the spaces where you pause before reacting, where you breathe before speaking, where you choose softness instead of control. It lives in small, deliberate choices, in how you treat your own heart, and in how gently you hold the world around you. As you move forward, remember what you've learned here. Choose gratitude over fear, because appreciation melts the tension that worry builds. Choose presence over perfection, because peace lives in this moment, not in your imagined future. Choose calm over chaos, because life's noise can't touch a mind anchored in stillness. And choose truth over approval, because your worth has never depended on anyone's understanding. You don't need to start over to find freedom. You only need to see clearly what's already in front of you. The same sunrise that once went unnoticed, the same breath that has carried you through every storm. They've been waiting for you to return. Peace is not a reward at the end of your effort. It's the quiet state that's revealed when effort falls away. So let this be your practice, not once, but again and again, until calm becomes the rhythm of your being. May each breath remind you that peace was never missing. It was only waiting for you to return.